Right, so this what we've just done in the previous video, part 5, so this will be part 6, is really kind of really looking at this kind of multi-product when we're making a number of products. So you might just have a straight tabular question on it with a number of products, and the system, or if you're in your textbook, we're kind of on page 94 95, and hopefully you'll do a lot of the questions, but I have a pretty straightforward question here to go through. I mean, what I will do in class is, I don't even think I'll do it. I mean, the idea is typically when you did this at level 4, if you remember, which is when we can still think about theory of constraints. We have kind of come across it. You would have been looking at contribution per scarce resource, like real contribution. When I say that, you just said sales minus variable costs, where this was direct materials and direct labor. But the focus is we're no longer interested in direct labor. Our focus now is on throughput, because this is really short term, which is really like calculating, if you like, the return. This is ultimately calculating, if you like, the throughput per factory hour. Think of it that way. And this is our focus, and we've just finished that. And so this should technically make a bit more sense. But the aim is to kind of give it some rankings. I'm only working with 2 products, but the principle is the same. The principle is the same. Nothing special. So you have 2 products here, and we're trying to decide who's going to go through that machine, because that machine is kind of broken down. It can't take a lot. Look at the scarce resource here on that machine. Total hours available, just 48,000 hours for now, until we can improve or buy in a new machine. Nothing crazy. What's my selling price? There we are. That's materials. So really, this does not matter anymore in as far as throughput is concerned. These guys just do not matter. Right, this is really important. So in the question you might be given all of these. When we were at level 4, we talked about contribution. We would include, of course, all the variable costs, if you like. So all those 3 would matter. But sorry, except fixed costs, of course. We don't include fixed costs. This is critical. I've talked about it. There's nothing you can, if a machine breaks, if you've paid your rent for the year and your machine breaks down, then you're still going to pay your fixed costs. In terms of making those decisions, fixed costs are now irrelevant. They're not relevant. So this is, hopefully, that's another reason why we use marginal costing ideas to think about these short-term decision-making principles, because this is really looking at what the real cost is at that time. Again, you're given the amount of time it takes to make a unit. Nothing, again, crazy is what we're talking about. I mean, we can see straight away that we don't have enough time. We only have 48,000 hours. If there's a demand here this is the total time. You need 40,000 hours here, and you need 10,000 hours here. We only have 48,000. Right? How do I know? Because demand is 20,000 units. It takes 2 hours to make one. Demand is 10,000. It takes 1 hour. But I'm told I only have 48,000 hours. So it means that we have a situation. So the best thing we can do then is to see who do we make first. Right? Again, there are criticisms of this. Sometimes you are bound. Sometimes you can get a question that says you have to make X amount of one product anyway, then you can start making this type of decision. So it's just reacting to the question and using those hours as resourceful. This is really applied maths, if you like. So my first thing, of course, is I'm going to find out what again, I've talked about this, an understanding of variable costing will understand and measure profitability. Throughput, we've discussed this, sales revenue minus direct material cost. Here we are, selling price minus my materials, and that gives me a contribution. I should really put throughput, forgive me, because it's not really contribution, of 17 and of 8. Right, so I now have throughput of 17 and of 8. This is the amount of hours. It takes 2 hours to make this. It takes 1 hour, and therefore my throughput for factory hour is 8.5. 17 divided by 2, 8 divided by 1. And now if I rank these, which is what we do next, you can sort of rank and say, I'm going to make product X first, and then I'm going to make product Y. So let us spend all our time making the 20,000 units of X, and whatever time we have left, because it takes 2 hours here, so we have 40,000 hours. So we have 8,000 hours left, don't we? So if I have 8,000 hours left, it takes 1 hour to make this thing, I can make 8,000 units. So I know that my product is going to I'm going to end up doing, technically, yes, 20,000 units of X and 8,000 units of Y. That's where we're going. Yes, and that's kind of the argument here, and that's ultimately what we're trying to work out. And then you go ahead and you do your thing. So you have 20,000, get your contribution. That's that plus 8,000 times your throughput, 64, giving a total throughput. Give me a 404, right? And if you're given fixed costs, which you probably will be in the exam, you literally now subtract the fixed costs, which will include your labor and your other fixed costs from this, because you remember that, of course, right? You have revenue minus marginal or variable costs, giving you contribution or throughput, and you subtract all your fixed costs to give you profit, right? That hasn't changed. It's just that we're including labor within fixed costs or operating costs. And yeah, I think that's kind of the key point, because we have this scarce resource. So we now have to think creatively of who will give us the greatest throughput, given that we have a scarce resource. Right, and we've discussed this very much about we must look for the best way. Yes, I've already talked about this, if you like. And so I think that kind of brings together to conclusion this discussion on throughput, if you like, and then multi-decision, making these multi-product decision makings. So now it's really about you going into the text and tackling all the questions you can see on throughput. Cool.